Howdy neighbors, welcome back to the channel. Episode 6 of Cardfight Vanguard Divines just happened this past weekend, and we're gonna actually genuinely sit down and talk about it because I thought I had recorded the episode, but it seems I did not record the episode while we were watching along. So it's fine. We will break down some of the themes within the episode, and hopefully you like this aspect of the video as well. And if you genuinely like us doing it this way instead, then be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. For first things first, we have the episode of Nao versus Erika, the intermingling relationship between Nao being very self-conscious of the fact that she had taught Akina Cardfight, and she was worried whether or not, oh, I don't want to feel, I hope that I'm not getting any resentment from you. And Erika, or Hikari, technically, doesn't really feel that sentiment of regret. She doesn't know. Right now she is focused currently challenging her future. She wants to strive to become a pro, just like Nao, who's currently a rising star within the scene. Right now we're going to be kind of fighting against different ideologies within the current like champion, or the current like best fighter around, or rising star, getting challenged by the rising star within a corporation of people who are helping her to push her forward into a better future for herself, trying to fight for her own future, trying to figure out what she wants to do for her own beliefs, etc. And it's a really cool aspect because you get to see some scenes from their childhood coming together, and this was before the Fated Clash, just before it, especially when that universe's soul had ended up destroying everything from that venue, from that location, because they ended up creating a singularity and completely wiping out everybody who was in attendance at a time. And now in the Deluxe, she gets a new lease on life, and she wants to figure out where she wants to go from here. And her challenging a strong opponent like Nao, who at the time also is trying to figure out how to navigate the pro scene, figuring out that a lot of people are currently looking to her now to, through all of the misplays, all the good plays, all the bad plays, and it creates a different dynamic of, am I doing what's best for me, or am I doing it just to please people? And that's a really cool thing to think about, especially when you're doing professional gaming, professional sports events. All those things can oftentimes hinge on it, that a lot of people are either depending on you, especially if you're representing a culture or race, a creed, or whatever background you have. It does drive a whole lot of very anxious ideas into your head, and it makes you either make mistakes sometimes or just do something foolish, and you're like, wow, did I honestly genuinely mean to do that, or was it just the fear talking and it's just speaking into your mind? So a lot of times that could become an issue, and that's one of the cool things that I have liked so far with Divines, that it doesn't just talk a lot about the card game, it talks about the social aspect that is like paired with it, you know, some of the social dynamics within groups, with friends, with family members, with trying to figure out where you are right now in your life and where you want to get to. And it was a really cool piece to take a look at. Let's take a look at some of the other scenes here. During the game, of course, we'll cover that too in a second. During the game, you get a lot more technical play when it comes to VANGUARD and Cardfight Vanguard as a whole, learning how to damage manipulate and to control what your hand size is going to be, looking at your game states, what's going to be important of how the match is going to turn out. This matchup overall is not really that favorable for Leila, since Leila is a very board-based deck, meaning they want to have a lot of rear guards on the board to be able to push their advantage. Varga doesn't like that as a Dragon Empire archetype, and Dragon Empire archetypes tend to have a little bit of board control, retiring, or denying intercepts that you're losing your rear guards for free. And the one turn that also made it out like pretty important here is here they talked a little about the the little will they won't they situation that Nao and Akina has going currently. And she's like, is here. Here we go. Is card for a card addict talking about now, and a pushover talking about Akina to make any progress, since both of them are just like very much made for each other, but they just haven't realized it yet. Or Akina genuinely already said he likes her, so it's now basically coming to terms of how does she deal with affection coming from somebody else that she seems to like. I hope we expand a little bit more on this will they won't they situation. This is very unique to Cardfight. We've not ever had any of that in a very long time. I mean, you could say Megumi and Danji a little bit, but Megumi's like, Danji sees Megumi like a little sister, like genuinely. I don't think he ever really sees her in a romantic sense, especially since he's a lot older than her as well. So it wasn't ever a thing. So we have the first ride, the first turn. She ended up putting herself at 2 damage at a time to be able to use the Lilial skills during that turn. I will say that I don't know if that was probably the play. She could have done a 3 attack turn and kept herself at low enough damage, so when they go into the Vanguard turn and they incidentally hit like a crit or something, she was contemplating on it. She weighed the options of like no guarding at the 3 damage point. I was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe you could have probably guarded 1 or 2 more of the attacks in the early game and then just no guarded twice on the Vanguard swings, and the only thing that probably put you into a lot of trouble is like a crit trigger. So here's like the turn that she opted into it. So they hit a crit and she was like, okay, do I divine skill here? And now had the very good patience in knowing, okay, I have a decent hand already from my restanding swings. I hit my draw trigger. I have a decent hand already. I drew some cards off of my rear guards. Do I need to push here? And she chose well, and she said, no, I don't want to have to like give you the option of turning off my divine skill and me being on the back foot for the rest of the game. I want to have initiative, and I really like that. So took her turn, she had her Persona ride, then she had Gabuelius. A lot of people were surprised that Gabuelius was around. It makes sense, because Lilial is one of the other archetypes outside of Raziel that can make really good use of it. Being able to bind it, and you call another copy out, you get to do some cool shenanigans with it. I will say though, I was a little sad to see that because of how much CB that she was using and didn't get enough counter charge, that she wasn't able to like do more with calling another Gabuelius, because I don't know her deck list. She could be running only 2. There's some Raziel lists that only run 2 or just 1 even. And Lilial, I feel like as a deck, you could probably run 3. You could squeeze in 3. You have a lot of grade 2s that really synergize really well with your deck. And having extra copies allows you to like get 5 attacks going, especially in a Persona right turn. So I feel like this is a way that you could have probably monopolized on that. She did hit a crit finally on one of her drive checks. It did still leave her on 4 damage, so it does leave her prey to Rakshasha, and then now did end up surviving on, I think, 5 damage with a PG, and she ended up having Rakshasha in hand. So she was able to close out the game. Unfortunately, she hit a double crit on both of the drive checks, on the first drive check and then on the divine skill drive check, so she was able to close out the game that way. 5 attacks, 2 to 3 Vanguard swings on 4 damage is tough. It's tough for any deck to deal with. And the only way that I can think of is in the early, try to guard a little bit more. Especially we did notice by the end here that she did have like a couple of draw triggers, a couple of crit triggers lined up are on a row here. So like we have the heal trigger, draw trigger, crit trigger. So she did draw into a couple of triggers like during the game and during from her draw skills. So it's not like she couldn't maybe find a PG, but I guess it was just like difficult to come across at that point. Because we didn't see a PG during their whole entire game except for like in the damage like that one time, you know? So overall it was tough. Then after the fight that now ended up winning, she was able to close it out. Akina was like, oh my god, that was such a beautiful fight. This fight probably stood out more than any other. I mean, obviously it's like watching like your future sister playing against somebody you really care about in an exchange of like Cardfight ideas and sentiment towards family and friends, that he was like, oh wow, this was beautiful. I mean, obviously we probably think of it for different reasons. And then we have a Soul who went up, played their game, ended up playing against Megumi. One of the funny thing I had noticed though at the end of the episode is that we didn't get to see any of the units associated with any of the new cards that we'll be getting, because we're getting currently for the TCG a new Magnolia form, we're getting a new Blank Maya form, and we're also getting a new Youthborg form, and we have not seen any of the units displayed at all. And now we do have like some other results for the second group, and we did see like a foreshadowing of a Cardfighter, a female Cardfighter that completely destroyed him, presumably female. I mean, obviously people wearing skirts don't have to be female, could just be female presenting or feminine presenting. Alright, let's take a look at the overall score. Alright, so let's see here. Akina's on the board. Kwon is currently not on the board, so you'd probably have Kwon versus Raika, and then maybe another matchup of Akina versus Kogetsu again? No. Could also be Kwon versus Kogetsu, and then Raika versus Akina. Something like that could happen too as well. I would expect like the starred characters would just be fighting against themselves in like their last division, and then you would have the people who didn't win yet fight against each other. Something like that, you know, if it's going to be round robin. Gui hasn't been on a board yet. Now is currently on a board. Mirai is on a board, so their matchup might be pretty interesting. Especially there are some cards in Varga, the cat that retired in the front row in the first place, so that plays in very interestingly compared to what Mirai wants to do, which is consistently clear out the front row and defend themselves, and possibly push out some multi-attacks going forward as well. Then Erika is also off the board, so Erika versus Gui is potentially a matchup we need to look out for. That's going to be pretty interesting. It depends on whether or not they want to feature any of these matches. They could just do it like how they did it at the end of this episode, and just like decide winners and losers at the end of it, and just like move on to the more important episodes for some odd reason. It's up to them. So, I want to pose a question to you all in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to win this Vanguard Deluxe? Who do you think is going to ultimately take it home? Who's going to be in the finals? I have my money on Now, and I have my money on Suzuka. Suzuka and Nao is probably my money right now, because of course, obviously we've not seen too many scenes with her yet. It is the first day of the qualifiers, so there's still many more to come. And all in all, I do want to wish y'all a pleasant day. Be awesome, stay awesome, have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in and stopping on by. This was fun. I definitely want to do this more often. If you guys like this style of commentary or discussion video post episode, I am more than happy to do more of these. So let me know in the comment section below, do you prefer this, or do you prefer just me watching along with the episode and then talking about it after? And if you do, I mean, if you like it, you know, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Obviously, it really, you have no idea how much it helps us out. Take care.